What is reliable data, and how are each of you guys extracting this potential value?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. So I suppose reliable data, it's really, about understanding its essence. And I know that that was talked a lot about on several of the panels earlier. So understanding the origin, how it is handled, what is in fact relevant for your business today, which is a very big challenge right now, particularly as it pertains to generative AI and AI, because now we have to think about unstructured data. And then also as part of that, it's how do I ensure the verifiability, authenticity of the data? How can I trust that data? And so what we're effectively doing is bringing that assurance to these businesses. So they have this one single tool where they're able to register, track the data sets, how the models have changed, and better understand the outputs effectively as well, because all of this is tracked on a tamper-resistant technology. All the way back to the source. So yeah, that's what we do.
So I've spent my whole career interviewing managers and understanding their edge in fundamental analysis. And so with the advent of on-chain data, it really opens up almost a real-time use case for a lot of this data. So by looking at on-chain data, for example, we can have real-time information on earnings, active users, transaction flows, liquidity, et cetera. I think in traditional equity markets, we typically have to wait until quarterly earnings and prices are automatically reflected on the instantaneous introduction of this data. But now with on-chain data, we're able to get this in real time, which is really, really exciting and interesting, especially for managers in the space. Another thing we have is access to flow information. And normally this would be only, the only groups that really have the insights are the big prop desks, like the Susquehannas and Citadel Securities and all of the investment banks that are doing this kind of prop trading. But if we know how to harness the on-chain data, everyone has access to that. We've kind of commoditized that in a really open way. And imagine like having this full understanding of the health of any network. Imagine if we had had it in 2008, for example, if we'd had real-time indicators of banks, of their mortgage-backed securities, of their CDOs, and understanding LTVs in real-time basis. So this is the promise of DeFi. And my expertise is looking at managers and understanding how they're building their portfolios using this data. But this is really the future of the financial markets, having this real-time on-chain data.
No, that's all great stuff. And one quick scheduling change. Rob from 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐞𝐬 wasn't able to be here, but I really, again, as a CPA, value his position in terms of touching and accessing this data. Again, he and the product is kind of one of those starting points for putting this together. But Chris, I do want to pick on the point that you mentioned about the availability, the real time. As soon as the transaction closes, we all can drop into all the public explorers there and see exactly when it, what type of information transpired. But I guess more broadly, are there other types of availabilities or kind of innovative use cases that we're using in doing this data now that we have it pretty much instantaneously, that's helping drive some of kind of your strategies, or Thomas, something that maybe you've been integrating into your strategies as well?
Yeah, happy to talk a little bit about this. I mean, I think maybe just to sort of back up, I don't know if we're at the point where the data is so clean that we can really effectively use it. There are some, I think it sort of gives you some qualitative sense of what's going on. Is this a lending pool with $100 million, but it's only coming from 3 accounts, and the other ones are, every one is $1 being done every 10 minutes, and it's actually being done by a bot. These are things that if you study the on-chain data, you might get a sense of whether a pool or a protocol is actually sort of widely distributed or not distributed. So I think the place that we're at, we're sort of investing in places like Artemis that are sort of trying to develop a Bloomberg-like tool for crypto. And I think that almost the best way to do that is have contributions from CPAs and tax accountants, as well as protocols themselves who sort of want particular data tracked about themselves. So it's almost this n-sided network that contributes into a pool that helps to standardize, financial metrics around different protocols. Because, right, a protocol can't issue a 10K, it can't issue a 10Q, it can't issue, a debt statement, right? But so I think that there are going to be some interesting firms that sort of help to tie all this data together, and then also sort of understand, what is sort of real transactions from fake botted transactions, because I think we're going to see that increasingly on chain.
Yeah, I think you hit on a really good point of just understanding and mapping out the headwinds that we're currently facing, right? Sources of truth, pointing to the right gospel. Again, that's part of my essence of when I'm putting financial statements together. How comfort and reliable am I, let alone an auditor, especially when it falls into the 10K and 10Qs.